I'm Nixon McShane.
And I'm Eryn Campbell-Campanola.
We were on the hit TV show Twice Blessed together, and we're also good friends. I guess you could say we've been blessed twice by each other. And now we're diving back into the world of Twice Blessed for the Ultimate Rewatch podcast.
We'll break down our favorite moments and give you top secret behind the scenes insights into the making of all of our favorite show. This is Twice Blessed, Once Recapped.
Once Recapped.
That was so good.
Wow. We really nailed that. I can't believe we're really here.
I know.
I really can't believe it.
I know. It's been a long time. Well, not really, because we're friends. And so we hang out all the time. But it's been a long time since we got to, work together.
Yeah, it feels like just yesterday we were at the finale wrap party. And now here we are in your home gym.
Yeah.
Which is a bit cold.
Yeah,
I'm chilly in here.
That is, this is technically Raj's home gym.
That's your husband, Raj.
That's my husband, Roger. He likes to keep it this temperature for his blood.
What is it, like 65?
Yeah, he's
56?
doing this thing called the lizard method. You try and anyway, enough about him. I am more than him.
That's right.
Oh, man. I just think it's funny because so many people are so familiar with the characters we played on the show that they don't realize we're these people with these rich outer lives.
That's right. I mean, I played Trixie, a real fan favorite character, one of the school nerds, very quiet, you could say.
Mm-hmm. And I played Jamie Jordan, one of the school mean girls, which I think if you know me in real life, is just could not be further from who I am.
That's what is so strange about being a performer and an actor, if you will, is so many people mix you up with your character. Yeah. And I think people who know me know I'm not really a nerd. I think I'm a bit better than that. And sure, yeah. And I think maybe geek is the wrong word, but I think some people make the mistake of thinking that you are your character, Jamie. And to be quite frank, how would I put this? I guess you could say your character was a bit of a B.
And they mean bitch by
bully.
that.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Kate, are we allowed to swear?
Yeah, that feels like a personal choice for you guys. So maybe you work that out as you go.
Okay. Well, before we go too far, that person that I just tossed to is named Kate. And her last name, I'm not sure of, but she is a gem. She is a rock star. She is a diamond in the rough. And we are just going to chisel her out and make her a star just like us.
I do have a last name. It's Feldman.
Kate Feldman.
Feld with a D.
Feldman. Feldman.
Don't overthink it. Okay.
Got it. Kate is a Twice Blessed super fan. So we thought there was no one better to produce our podcast. Kate, what's your favorite episode?
I have to think about that one because there were so many seasons. And with so many seasons comes so many episodes. And when you have that many episodes back to back, it's like, why would I choose favorites amongst such great episodes? So congratulations to you both. You're a part of something really special.
Okay, you'd never know it from the way she just gurgled on, but Kate is actually going to be editing the show, and she's just here to help us with some scheduling, logistical, booking stuff. She's not exactly like an idea girl.
No, I wouldn't
I think
say
as you just heard.
That's for us.
Not a creative. No. Very much like buttons and numbers, but not an assistant. We respect her so much.
No, definitely. Anyways, as we were saying, Eryn, your character was a bit of a B. And I know that for years, people have confused the two of you and figured that you are also a B. And I wonder what you had to say about that.
It was really confusing and hard for people, but I think I'm excited to do this podcast because I'm excited to set the record straight. I am not a B. I am Eryn, CC. I am a wife. I am a stepmom. I am a confidant. I am an entrepreneur. I am a flipper of homes. I am a renovationist. I am a revisionist of history. I am a disruptor. I contain multitudes.
People see you on the red carpet and they see you being that bee and, you know, being kind of mean to people and interviewers. They don't really understand that that is a facade. It's a character.
Well, and
you know?
I think that the last few years have been a lot about reclaiming, like thinking about who we call a bitch, you know, like what women we just shove to the periphery of society because maybe they're a little difficult or unruly or like cunty to wardrobe employees. I'm sorry, Kate, can I say that?
No, I think cunty is a general no-no.
Okay. Because, you know, I'm whatever. So, you know, maybe we should catch up on what we've been doing since the show.
I know that you left the industry.
I did. Yeah. I did. I made the very difficult and I think brave choice to step out of my comfort zone a little bit. You know, I was just like, there were a few years there where I just felt like I had no chance of living a normal life. Like I couldn't go into an icing by Claire's without just being mobbed by people, you know, all of them shouting my catchphrase from WCS. Worst case scenario. That was the show.
Wasn't that your show before?
Yes, yes, it was my big hit. Like, I mean, Twice Blessed was probably my big breakout, but you know, I've been working for a long time, of course, my first series regular gig was Worst Case Scenario,
and it was a pun. Yes, worst,
WUR,
like
because we worked in a German restaurant, or my parents in the show, owned a German restaurant, and you know the catchphrase.
Oh my God. Yeah, it was iconic. It was Danke
Schön, Fräulein. Danke schön, Fräulein. Said with kind of, you remember, right?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God, you were great on that show. Yeah.
No, yeah. So I did that, and then I did Twice Blessed, and it was just like, I'm at like peak recognizability, and I just wanted to get away, and I thought maybe it was time for me to flex some other parts of my brain, do the Natalie Portman. And so I went to college. And I think for me, I always wanted people to recognize that I was, you know, a big brain as well as like a big beauty, you know?
Yeah.
And
do you think you were beautiful back then?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
No, I'm pretty sure that's undisputed. So I was accepted to Michigan State, you know, and unfortunately things didn't quite work out. I did do a semester there. I was amazing. But, you know, it's just hard when you've already lived so many lives. They didn't have much to teach me, like textual analysis. I'm sorry, I've been doing that since I was 4 years old. You know, like I think it was honestly like distracting to a lot of my classmates, you know, like I get it. Like they just didn't really, they were so intimidated by me. Like no one really was like trying to be my friend because, you know, they think I'm this superstar. It's like, I would get it. Like I would be distracted if like Judy Garland was in my econ class.
Why? Because she had that weird voice?
It just, you know, it's not for everyone. And I think I realized I left school and I realized that even without acting, like I have so many gifts to offer.
You do. You've
know?
Always been up to many things, and it's kind of like starting something new and trying it and kind of putting that to the side, and starting something new and trying that and putting that to the side.
Well, and taking all of the knowledge that I gained from each of those things and putting it into the supercomputer, which is what I call my mind. But yeah, I realize I think my main gift is the gift of taste, you know? Like I can walk into a store and be like that, you know?
Yeah.
Or I can like walk into someone else's home and be like, that's bad.
Yeah. I mean, I'm remembering the first time, the only time you came to my house, I remember you really, really didn't like my horseshoes.
Yes, those were ugly.
Yeah, and you said so, you know, and
you took them down.
I took them down.
It looked so much better. I
mean,
just
felt a lot of shame, and I
haven't been back, but I
same.
think they look. I imagine it looks much better.
I mean, nobody's telling me that because I guess they don't know they were there before.
Well, you don't have a lot of people over, right?
You know, I guess I don't know what the normal amount is.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think honestly, if it weren't for Meghan Markle, I think that my taste-making empire probably would have taken off a lot quicker.
You're talking about your blog?
Yes. As you know, I did have a blog. It's still up there technically somewhere, but The Tug. And it was kind of just supposed to be like a fun playground for for people like me, for people with vision, just like a place to go to be like, what's a fun soda to drink? What do I wear with my culottes? And
did you end up getting sued by Meghan Markle? Because I know she had the TIG. Just one letter away.
I really am not in the business of women tearing down other women. But since she did try and tear me down first, I suppose I can say, yes, she did. She did sue me with all the mighty power of the law. And
she's got that Suits knowledge.
She really has the upper hand, unfortunately. Yeah. But ultimately, my dispute with Meghan Markle was not for naught. It pushed me to face my bullies, Meghan Markle. And, think about how do I help other people from not letting this happen to them, from not getting stepped on by, which is why I'm on the boards of several anti-bullying charities.
That's new to me. I really always thought that you had joined those boards because you were a bully.
No, because I was bullied.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you got that confused
that's
by Meghan Markle.
My interpretation of that. But okay, yeah, I mean, that all makes sense.
And of course, I think maybe one of the most important developments in my life, I married a wonderful man.
Raj.
A few years ago, Roger Campbell is what we call him. We met at a mindfulness retreat where I was looking for investors for The Tug, which I'm not allowed to say, I'm remembering now, for my blog.
We'll cut that out, Kate.
Yeah, got it.
And, he sat me down and he said, your blog is bad.
And you liked that.
I did. Being so beautiful and powerful, it's so rare that people give it to me straight. And I think I liked that this sweaty little man, was telling me about my blog. You had to admire the gall of him.
I guess, hearing it, you might not understand. But when you meet Raj, I mean, listeners will just have to trust. I mean, he's a wonderful guy. He's my favorite thing about you. He's just awesome.
Oh, okay.
Great guy. Really great guy. Bit of an age difference there.
Yeah, well, he holds me down and I lift him up. I tell him when he has food on his shirt or when he's yelling at the gardener too much. It's a nice balance, a yin and yang. And of course, through him, I inherited my beautiful stepdaughter, Arabella. We are just so close. And you know what? I just feel like I need to say, if you thought that Jamie was a bee on the show, then you have not met my teenage stepdaughter, Arabella. That's for dang sure.
I certainly have. Yeah. And I will leave it at that.
Enough about me, though. What have you been up to, Nix?
What have I not been up to? Well, after the show, I did a bit of a pivot into the unscripted documentary space.
You mean reality TV, right?
Yes, reality TV. Reality is...
I know that not all of our viewers are in the industry, so they might not know.
I guess that's a bit of an inside baseball term.
Yeah.
But reality TV, yes, I was on season 18 of Dancing with the Stars. It was just really an honor to be there. I had a blast. I lost 2.5 pounds. And unfortunately, the cha-cha-cha sent me home. So I didn't stick around for long.
It's funny because I remember when we were kids, you were so knock-kneed. I never would have thought of you as a dancer.
Yeah, well, I guess that's the beauty of the picture industry, that dreams can come true.
You mean reality TV, right?
Yes, I still mean reality TV.
Yeah.
Hollywood.
You haven't done any movies, really.
No films, but that's by choice. I really wanted to kind of be more authentic on screen and speak my truth and have new experiences. And I got to. I mean, next I was on what was it? Oh my God. It was the season, I think 27 of Survivor. It was the whites versus non-whites season, which was a bit controversial, I would say. Tricky season, tough game to play, especially because honestly, it was hard to compete with the non-whites. I didn't really want to be in a combative situation. I kind of wanted to be on their team. I thought we really connected and had a good time. But anyways, that got derailed. There was an outbreak of stage 2 dysentery that season, and I would have stayed through it, but there was an issue with the D, I would say. And my teammates couldn't handle it anymore.
And the D is diarrhea.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
The D is diarrhea. And there was a lot of it. And eventually I had to be withdrawn for medical reasons. Next, I was on season 14 of Celebrity Apprentice, Donald's last season. So it was a little bit.
Let's not get political on this podcast.
Oh, well, we can move on. But that was his last season. So
sure.
I do know him, unfortunately.
Yeah, okay.
And my season of The Amazing Race is about to come out. I am so excited for that. That's going to be so cool. I think starting next week, they're going to start releasing the episodes, and maybe we can start a second recap podcast about that.
I think I'm like too busy for that. But
well, I've just been really blessed these past several years. The fans have just carried me on their backs all these years. I just feel so connected to them, and I feel so lucky for having been able to stick it in this industry. I know a lot of people, yourself included, kind of give up and they say, this isn't worth it, you know?
Yeah, I'm so sorry to cut you off, but I just wanted to say, like, I really think that's something I've always admired about you. Mm-hmm. You know, like, you are so... Like, I think I'm a little too down to earth and too humble, I think, to just be like, here I am, I'm on another TV show. But like, you are just so dogged and relentless in your pursuit of the spotlight. And it really takes a lot of guts to be that kind of person, you know? Like, a lot of people would be worried about being seen as annoying or desperate. But I think that you really just like, rush it, you know, you rush the stage.
I think that's why we're here. I think that's why I was sent here, was to bring my special power to the people.
I'm sorry. I was just thinking about how I need to remind my assistant to change the filters on the air purifiers.
All right.
So, Nixon, speaking of what you were just saying, you recently had a pretty big announcement, right?
That is right. I did just come out via Instagram Live as gender non-binary. I use they, them, theirs pronouns, and it's been, honestly, I feel so blessed to represent the LGBTQIA plus community and to just help push the needle forward in any way I can.
And if I can just say, as someone who has known Nixon for a really long time, I've seen some really ungenerous comments online implying that this is some kind of stunt, this is some kind of publicity thing. And I just want to say, Nixon has been funny for as long as I've known them. Like, there's always...
I always had a good sense of humor.
Even before I knew what gender non-binary was, I knew that you were, like, different and a little... Yeah, I just knew.
Oh, funny that way.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, Arabella, it's not really that interesting anymore. Like, Arabella has 8 non-binary friends. One of them is named Abacus, and that's not a chosen name. That's a birth name. So I just think, like, everybody needs to get over it. It's not so special.
Well, I think it's certainly difficult in this day and age.
But like, we've got non-binary. Like, who's that non-binary kid? Billie Eilish.
I don't think she's non-binary. Kate, is she non-binary?
Can you look that up?
She's not non-binary.
She didn't type anything.
She's a really big pop star. She's not non-binary. She's just gay. Well, not just gay, but.
No. Kate, are you gay?
I don't think you can ask me that.
Oh. Okay.
You know, I think the best part of this, what's made it all worth it, is to feel like the LGBTQIA plus community has opened their queer as folk arms, and they are embracing me into the gender breast. And I just feel so warm and taken care of, and I'm so happy to be here today.
So just out of curiosity, who are your top 3 queer friends?
Well, would we say friends or would we say comrades? Because one thing that isn't talked about enough is that these issues, you know, being queer, being a little bit funky is still really, really tough. And we need to carry on the fight as best we can. We need to lock arms and keep fighting the good fight. It's not over, folks. That's folks with an X. It's not done yet.
And I just want to say, I'm so grateful that you are living your truth. I think this is the truest thing that you've said in a long time. Okay.
Well, this season,
Oh my God.
I'm still here. So,
Forgot about her.
yeah, this seems like a good time to segue into talking about why you guys are doing this show, right?
Yes. Yes. Well, you know, I'm online. I try not to do too much screen time, you know, for my skin. But I think like we both, like a few months ago, suddenly Netflix got the streaming rights to Twice Blessed. And it just became this internet phenomenon, you know? Femininomenon. And suddenly everyone's watching it. Everyone's rewatching it. There's a whole new generation.
Yeah.
I think we have a TikTok of like a new fan that we found that I think perfectly.
Yeah,
you know.
Kate, can we play that TikTok?
Playing the TikTok.
Awesome.
You guys remember that show Twice Blessed? It was huge for like 3 seasons and launched Chloe Castillion's career. And then she quit or left the show, and then it just jumped the shark. It just started eating complete shit. It got bonkers, bitch. There's like a story in there where a teacher fakes cancer and a pregnancy and then gets like 3 or 4 different types of hepatitis in one episode. There's like a transfer student, like kind of like Fez vibes, but this one starts a counterfeit cosmetics ring and goes to like The Hague or something. There's like a character named Yankee Tom who's like a Revolutionary War ghost, and he's trying to be like a normal kid. And then he asks Katy Perry to prom, and then she says, yeah. Like, what? I cannot stop watching. It is so bad, but good. I've truly maybe never seen a crazier show in my life, and I've watched dozens, hundreds of seasons of American Ninja Warrior. I was a gleek.
That shit was crazy. And fans are hungry.
They want that insider information that they can't get anywhere else.
Yeah, and we're here to give it to them.
Well, fans might be a little confused why you guys are doing this podcast, right? Because there's already a hit Twice Blessed podcast out there available to them.
Well, I don't know about hit.
You're sure you're not talking about this one?
Yeah, remember we talked about it in the production meeting. Marcia and Rowan have a show. It's called Blessed But Stressed. You guys weren't worried about it because no one knows who they are.
Oh my God. Oh God. Like, that was a joke, Kate.
Why didn't they have me on?
Look, Kate is talking about our former colleagues, Marcia and Rowan, who, bless their hearts, have their own podcast. And I think ultimately, like, as you will see when we start releasing these episodes, ours is very different. We care about the craft. We have so much love in our hearts for the show. And I think that what they were doing is a little bit more like doom and gloom.
Well, they're doing a deep dive into why Twice Blessed was so problematic.
I'm going to need you to maybe like stop interrupting.
I was just clarifying.
I think
for
it's
you.
just disrespectful to the fans. You know, I they love the show. They don't think it's problematic. I mean, I meet people all the time. They have pets named after these characters, you know?
I met a Jamie last week, a human.
Yeah, I mean, clearly the show is making an impact.
It's just, we're agnostic. We're like scholars. Like, I feel horrible, honestly, that Marcia and Rowan had such a negative experience on the show.
But when you're a professional,
And we are veterans. We have Purple Hearts in TV. It
we
only made us
understand the way
stronger.
things work,
Yeah.
and we're really not about looking back. We're about the fans, and we're about the community
forward.
and looking forward at
But also
the community
looking back at the show
in front of us.
Yeah. And you know what? I wish them nothing but the best. I hope Rowan finally beat that bedwetting. So
I think it's time for a commercial break. We'll be right back. Have you been watching Elsbeth on CBS? Well, I have, and I recommend it. I'm still not quite sure what the show is about. So far, there's a wonderfully quirky redhead with a whole lot of spunk. I've been watching it on the treadmill, and it's been pepping my step. This is not a paid ad. We have not yet booked any sponsors, but I wanted to use this time to shout out this fabulous show. Eryn, are you watching?
No.
It's now streaming on Paramount Plus, Fubo TV, and Paramount Plus Amazon channel. Welcome back. We are really excited to start this recap finally and to welcome our guest. But before we get started, we are, for the record, going to be starting our recaps with season 4, episode 1. And that's just because the first 3 seasons were really wonderful television. I think we can all agree on that. But season 4 is when our characters got a little bit more screen time, and Chloe, who we all know and love, did depart for her wonderfully successful film career. So we had a little bit more space for the other characters in the show. And so we're going to start there.
But we don't want to leave anyone out. So right now, we've got a quick explainer. Mm-hmm. Everything you need to know about Twice Blessed seasons 1 through 3 in 1 minute or less. Hold on to your butts. Twins Luna and Nova Merriweather start at the prestigious Broadmoor Academy in Seabourn, Massachusetts, and find themselves fish out of water. Nova dies suddenly of an allergic reaction to mislabeled coconut water. Luna discovers a portal in the fieldhouse toilet that allows communication with the dead and reconnects her with Nova. Ghost Nova tells Luna that she was murdered, and Luna vows to find her killer. Luna spends the rest of the season investigating different suspects on campus, eventually settling on English teacher Mr. Dodlin as a likely culprit, because shortly before her death, Nova discovered he plagiarized his award-winning book of poetry. When Mr. Dodlin realizes Luna is onto him, he kidnaps her, intending to kill her and make it look like an accident. Luna's best friend Jess and class clown Trixie rescue her at the last minute. Dodlin gets sent to jail, but we reveal he wasn't the killer, it was Luna. We pick up season 2 with the reveal that Luna is a daughter of Charon, a once-in-a-generation force of nature with the power to connect life in the afterlife. Creepy old janitor, Old Man Creighton, is an oracle sent to mentor Luna and hone her powers. Nova was evil and put on the earth to use her powers for bad. Luna poisoned Nova while in a trance to stop her from opening the toilet portal and letting the dead take over the world of the living. Realizing Ghost Nova has been using her to put her evil plan into action, Luna must step into her powers via training and stop her dead twin from taking over the school and eventually the world. Nova figures out how to use her powers to inhabit the bodies of living students and make them do her bidding. Nova inhabits Jess's body, and Luna must perform an exorcism on her best friend to save the day and send Nova back to the underworld. In season 3, it's a new year, and Luna is excited for her first normal semester at Broadmoor. She's got a boyfriend, Davis Davenport, and she's saved her best friend's life, and she thinks she's finally vanquished her evil ghost twin. Little does she know Nova is still at work on her dark schemes, and she has a new ally, Headmaster Dean Whitlock, who is actually Hecate, the goddess of sorcery and witchcraft. Whitlock announces that he's going to destroy the fieldhouse toilet and put an Olympic-sized pool where it once stood. Luna grows suspicious of the headmaster and this plan, and realizes too late that Whitlock and Nova are working together to open a giant portal on school grounds, unleashing an army of the dead. Hecate and Nova open the portal, bringing on a full-on war for Broadmoor's campus. It's a tough battle, but in the end, Luna and the living win, but Old Man Creighton sacrifices himself to close the portal. At the end of the season, Luna realizes she can't have a normal life and be a daughter of Charon. She leaves Broadmoor to travel the world protecting the living from the dead.
Ooh, wow, what a recap. I'm so excited for our next segment. We have an amazing guest today for our first episode. He was named 2009 Tiger Beat's World's Sexiest Boy Child. It's Hardin Knight.
Woo! Woo! It is so good to see you.
Yeah.
Wow.
You have not changed a bit.
Oh, well, getting out of the kind of the swamp here, the Hollywood swamp. I just feel like it's good for the skin. It's just good for your soul.
Because it's so hot.
This is actually Pacific Palisades that we're in right now. But I get what you mean in like a state of mind sense. And tell us, what have you been up to? Catch us up to speed.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I mean, I moved down to Austin and, around 2015, 2016. And really what I realized, I just need to be out there working with my hands, the way I grew up. And now I have a landscaping business, and I'm really proud of it. We do great work.
Wow.
And
can you remind me where you're from? Was it?
Oh, yeah. I'm from Alhambra. I don't come back very often. And it's nice to be here with you.
You really did just have such a versatile career. You were really an everyman, but super, super handsome.
Oh my God. And back then you were everywhere. I mean, you were white hot and everybody wanted to be you. Everybody wanted to be with you. Mothers, daughters, gender confused superstars, and I just think it was amazing to watch your rise and then later your subsequent fall. But the rise was pretty cool, I guess you'd have to admit.
It was pretty cool.
It was enjoyable for me because I got to look at you on the screen again, you know? So there was that.
Beautiful face.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was. Yeah, I mean, It was. To me, it was a blur. You know, it's hard for me to say this now. I mention this now to people that you know, those years that should have been the best years of my life, I was really in a daze. I'm not proud to say it. I was, you know, often under the influence of some sort of stimulant, and it was largely to keep up with the workload. And you know, I mean, luckily now through my church and my wife and my two beautiful
wife.
My wife Grace. We've been married for a few years now, and she gives me grace.
Okay, you didn't mention wife in the research.
Hardin had a wife.
I didn't know that was an important piece of information. I'll be sure to mention it.
Next time we'll put that at the top.
Yeah.
Let's just put that at the top of the research.
At the top. Okay, yeah.
Well, that's really cool.
Well, I was actually kind of struggling with substance abuse at the time, so I don't.
And
At the time you got married? Is that why you got married?
No. By that point, I feel pretty good about where that is. My relationship with substances was kind of not really. By the time I married Grace, we're good.
And when you say stimulants, you mean like?
I mean really whatever I could get my hands on at the time. I mean, I think it was kind of actually Charlie St. Cloud. That's kind of where it started. Just you know,
Efron.
Yeah, Zach and I, we got along great, but you know, we haven't talked in a long time because you know he chose his path. I just chose a different path. I had to be someplace where it felt like it was, you know, just
His
the
path being success, prestige.
You know, I
Money?
think you have to sell a part of yourself to do what he does. You know, and I wasn't willing to do that, and I think. You know, God did not want that path for me.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, there was a journey that I had to embark upon, you know, and you know, everyone has a different path, and I had a wild ride, you know, and not everybody gets that. Not everyone has that experience that I had. And I feel blessed.
I just want to say I am not I do not, you know, worship a Christian God, but Raj and I are exploring Kabbalah, and it is so important to be spiritually grounded, and I really hear where you're coming from, and we support you, and we lift you up to the Lord, the non-secular, fundamentally religious Lord. So what brings you to town? We're so lucky to have you here, but I know that you said you were planning a trip to LA anyway, back in the swamp with us, the monsters.
What am I, a gator?
Yeah, well, you know, I don't really come out here much unless, you know, it's to see, you know, Chloe
Friends.
or people like that. But something, there's just been an opportunity, you know, I might honestly have to do with the show coming back on Netflix, Micro Yards. It's this new HGTV show. These micro yard projects are really exciting, and we got some good judges on, people kind of foremost in the field. And
I'm so sorry to interrupt. Did you say for HGTV?
Yeah. Home garden television. Is that what it is?
Are you sure? Because I'm in the renovation space. I flip homes. I flip historic homes. And I had actually submitted a packet to HGTV with a pitch for a home reno show. And they told me that they weren't looking for new programming at this point. So I guess I'm trying to help you if maybe you got some bad information.
I mean, I think the meeting's tomorrow. It's at
Maybe
something,
check with your team.
Yeah, something called Soho House. I don't know.
Well, that would be in New York.
I've heard that's really gone downhill. Who's involved in the show? Just out of curiosity, who are you doing it with?
I mean, we got a lot of people, but you know, you need someone with comedic chops on a show like this to keep it rolling. And you know, I was in Get Him to the Greek with my good friend Russell Brand, and I know he's. You know, I think people have really misunderstood him in the past. You know, he sees through some of the issues in a way that I feel like a lot of the Hollywood folks don't.
I would love to maybe sit down with the two of you and maybe talk about some information and resources that we can share.
I think, Eryn, why don't we sit down and talk about that first?
Well,
just because there's some context
you're not
that I
really
think
in
you're
the
missing.
reno space, so
Sure.
I think.
Anyways, moving on.
Anyway,
So crazy that you guys are even on speaking terms. Just after, I remember you cried sometimes on set, huh? It got kind of dark.
I do remember that. You were a weepy
Well,
guy.
you made me cry a couple times, I think is what he's saying.
Yeah, it wasn't
mean-
just out of the blue. It was because there's some.
It was more than a couple.
I think I've always had sort of a dry sense of humor, and I do think that like before Nixon and I got so close, that was like a kind of a misunderstanding between us. But we were always friends. I think maybe you're thinking of Marcia and Rowan. They really didn't get along.
Oh, they're great. I get on the phone sometimes with them, and we get in a 3-way FaceTime, and it's just like.
Well,
That's crazy.
I can't help but notice you're not doing their podcast. So
Oh no, I was on that one.
Oh,
when?
Yeah. Oh, yesterday.
Well, Kate, that would have been really good for us to know.
Again, I let you know that when we talked about their podcast, but that's okay. I'll double remind you about
Yeah.
these things next time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
thanks.
did a recap of the spring formal episode you were talking about.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah,
okay. Well,
awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
So now you have a business.
Yeah.
Landscaping.
Landscape.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Why don't we, Kate, we have Hardin's website, right?
Yeah,
Why don't we
can
look
you
at
pull it
that?
up?
Because let's give you a little plug. I know we can help out with that. We've got a big platform.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Okay.
So I love this font.
Thank you. Yeah.
I think
wondering-
my eyes are drawn to the other things. For the listeners at home who can't be seeing this as they drive, we've got Hardin in 3 different poses here on this website. I would say they're thick thigh oriented poses.
Is that a
we've
raw
got
hem?
That's what I wear sometimes on the job. You just need to stay
ripped open shorts.
You need to be just able to move, and it's just the best exercise. I mean, I feel like this is what God's plan was for me all along, just being out there.
It
Wonderful.
certainly is godly. I'm curious about this section of the website. I see under freedom, we also pride ourselves on our employee bodily autonomy policy. Inquire for details. What's that about?
I just think that every employee has the right to choose how they treat their own bodies. Obviously, yes.
this-
Oh no.
Did you say abortion?
Oh, I don't feel like I can speak to that currently.
Okay.
My wife wrote this, Grace. She's got a real way with words. She
Oh,
went
wow.
to Smith.
She went to Smith?
Yeah, went to
So
Smith.
is she kind of butch?
What?
Is she kind of butch?
What does that mean?
Like,
That's
I
what
think
we
we
say.
should. I think we should move on from this.
Well, yeah, just
Thank
for
you,
the
guys.
listeners, that's what we say in the gay community for a more masculine
like
type.
a fuzzy kind of lesbian, but
Oh.
not like,
Well, I don't know if we would say
we have
that.
no opinions on the way that lesbians look. Thank you.
Sure. Anyway, this is a beautiful website. I can tell
Stunning.
that you
I mean, you got to play the game a little bit. You got to use the Hardin Knight
Yeah,
brand
yeah.
a little bit. But yeah, you can book an appointment.
What is this? It says you can book an appointment. There's an option for a Wi-Fi and 5G blocking consultation.
We've been doing some research that certain shrubs and hedges we find are better at blocking the harmful effects of 5G issues.
I'm not sure I know what the adverse effects of 5G are.
it's the skin, I think,
Yeah, I mean,
and
there's
the
definitely-
brain.
Yeah, anything kind of in the neuroskeletal system.
It's the neuroskeletal system.
Yeah, there's some evidence that makes animals gay, but we're not sure.
Oh.
Well,
Well,
that would be a good thing. Get me
Yes.
my 5G.
I would love my gay dog.
I got no problems with it. I'm just saying that's what the scientists are saying.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, listen. Why don't we move on to the episode recap?
That sounds fabulous.
We
That's
are-
what we've been gearing up for this entire episode.
Yeah, we are. Today we're going to recap episode 401 with you, Hardin.
Y'all know I wasn't on the show anymore.
Oh yeah, yes,
yeah, of
because your
course.
character left in the season 3 finale.
'Cause you graduated and went to Brown,
Davis
yeah.
Davenport graduated finally. But I'm sure you watched the show when you left, and of course you remember it. So
that was when it kind of took off.
yeah,
I mean, the show for me was really about me and Chloe. Like when we did our first chemistry read, the producers were like, now this is a show. Because, everybody knew that plot was dog shit. And they were like, this is the show. So, when me and Chloe were gone, it's just like, I mean, I didn't even watch it then, but I sure didn't watch it after I left.
But you remember the big. You remember like
The set and the
Yeah.
the crew.
who we were and you know.
Yeah, you played Nixon, huh?
no, Nixon is my real name. I played Trixie.
That's your birth name? Your parents gave you?
Yes.
Before all the...
All the what?
I think we should move back into recapping the episode.
Yeah, thanks, Kate. So, okay, I think that in a way this will be more fun because you get to hear about it for the first time.
Yeah, you're kind of
the
an
stars.
audience stand-in.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. We on this podcast are really trying to focus on seasons 4 to 6 because that was when our characters really found their voices, and it kind of like once Chloe wasn't taking up so much of the limelight on the show, it became more of, I guess you wouldn't know this because you weren't watching, but it did become more of an ensemble piece. And we thought that was really beautiful.
A lot of the fans actually prefer the back half of the show. That's when the clay really started to hit the potter's wheel, if you will.
And it was a bit of like the pot on the wheel was a melting pot because it was just such a diverse array of talent. So yeah, this will probably be really fun for you, brand new episode.
Well,
Yeah. You going to reimburse the Uber still?
We'll talk about that.
All right.
after.
Sorry.
Yeah.
and speaking of, I don't know if that transition applies, but Cold Open, episode 401, title was Buzzed.
Sorry, maybe yeah.
Yeah, I'm realizing this
We
might not
shouldn't
have
tag
been
you on for this one.
best
because of your,
episode.
sobriety.
Oh, I'm not sober. I'm controlling it.
Oh.
Episode started with school nerd Nestor Beaumont is biking home from a math meet when he's nearly run off the road by reckless drivers Ron and John, the school meatheads. He sees them get out of the car and watches empty beer cans pour out of the front seat. Oof. They're drunk driving. Oh my gosh. I remember that was crazy to read in the script.
Did you ever drive drunk?
In LA, driving drunk, I feel like it's not a very good idea to do that, just because it's just such a compact place. But out in the South, in the countryside, sometimes.
Oh, well, why don't we just
in the car? It's
yeah,
not
we
a
don't
big
need
deal.
to just for this legally.
It's interesting.
You got to get from one place to the other.
Yeah, you have to get home from the bar.
So Nestor takes a photo on his Motorola Droid Razr phone to show to the authorities. And I think I remember that being product placement. They really had us doing a lot of ads that season. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was kind of a shitty photo, if I remember. So I don't know. I think the sales for the phone ticked down.
We see Jamie. That's Eryn's character. Remember her? We see her in her bed staring at the DNA results she received in the season 3 finale. Oh, that was such a cliffhanger. So Jamie finally found out in this DNA test who her biological mother was. That was one of the ongoing mysteries of the show. And it turns out it's local Tupperware tycoon Mariana Webb. Really cool. I was really excited for her to come back. She was a great guest star.
That was Kira Sedgwick's character.
Kira.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know Kira?
Yeah, we talk sometimes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah.
That's
So
really
you
great.
talked to
Seems like you
talked
talked
to
a
pretty
lot of
much everybody
people.
from the show, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, you spend that much time on set with people that you really care about, that you really connect with on an artistic level. And even when the art is gone, even when the you're not making the same product, that powerful connection persists.
Back to the recap. Trixie gets pulled into the principal's office. That was my character, if you remember. Trixie.
Not Nixon.
Trixie,
Sure.
not Nixon.
There's similar sounds.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Trixon, Nixie.
Trixie's worried that she's in trouble for being too good a student and throwing off the curve, but the principal actually wants her to play a body in the drunk driving demonstration that Nestor is spearheading. Good for him. All right, well, I think
Maybe we can.
that's kind
just,
of the meat of the
skip over some of the
episode.
boring stuff like that, and
Yeah,
know,
maybe
get
we
to-
just wrap it there.
I mean, do you think that was an interesting plot line that they gave Trixie? In all honesty,
That Trixie was a body.
yes. Do
Yes,
you,
I
in your
had
opinion?
no lines. I was lying there like a human cadaver for the whole episode, but I, as an actor, considered it quite the challenge.
Well, I don't know if you remember, but it was kind of the twice blessed way. It was like you'd have an A story that's really heavy and dramatic and moves the plot forward. And then you'd have like a B, C story that is just so boring and irrelevant. And you're kind of like, what's going on? And it was done on purpose. It was an artistic, like a juxtaposition thing to be like, oh, like sometimes life is really crazy and intense and and entertaining. And sometimes life is really like, you might just want to like mute it for a little bit.
Well, like I said, I think it's more of a challenge. You know, I remember the episode where they had my character get stuck in a traffic jam on a bridge, and I was in the back seat for the whole episode. And
who was driving?
A taxi driver. And the taxi driver was actually the featured guest player, so had most of the lines and he was on a phone and speaking to someone on the phone, and that was where his lines were going. But I was supposed to be kind of emoting in the back, and you know, how do I embody the character and infuse her with life without any lines? That, I think, is the greatest actor's challenge.
I think the crux of this episode dramatically was, of course, me meeting my mother, you know, or Jamie meeting her mother.
Yes, which was, I remember, a pretty dramatic scene.
It was the scene that we ended up submitting for my Emmy consideration that year.
Oh, and how did
you didn't get nominated, right?
I did not get nominated, but it was a really packed year. A really packed year. I think that was when like Mad Men was airing and the New Adventures of Old Christine, and it was a crowded year. I was thinking it would be so fun if we could play a clip of my scene with Mariana Webb with my mother.
I guess so. Yeah, Kate, why don't we play that clip?
Yeah, can you roll that, Kate?
I would love to, but legally speaking, the show has made it pretty clear that we're not allowed to use any clips from it.
Are Marsha and Ronan using it?
They did get legal clearance, yes.
Oh.
We were not able to.
Kate, why don't we reach out to their lawyer? Maybe that's the issue.
Call their lawyer, but don't say it's from us.
Should I say it's... I'll figure it out.
Just, make up a name or something.
I'll make up a name.
I think we're paying you to figure it out.
That's okay. Fair enough. Yeah, I'll get right on it.
So, all right, then maybe we can just read the scene. I think, maybe I'll read Jamie and Nixon if you want to read Mama.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, what do you think of that?
So, I think from what
you weren't expecting a treat?
I was not expecting that.
So, we are in the car, driving on a mountain road. My birth mother is drunk. Action. I'm so glad that we're getting this quality time together, but could you please slow down?
Call me Mama!
Mama, please slow down. Mama, I'm too young to die. Oh, Mama, look out for that turnout. Oh! And then it cuts to black, and it said to be continued until the next week's episode.
Real cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Is any of that ringing a bell? I think that clip made the rounds.
Yeah. What did you think of seeing us just do it right now?
And to clarify, I was playing a woman in that role.
I think they got that from Mama, but yeah.
But that wasn't your part. That's not the part from...
No, I wasn't playing her biological mother.
So it was just sort of...
I was your classmate. Remember I was in your carpool for a season and a half?
No, I know, but in this... we're just doing a scene where...
But did you like what I just did right now?
Sure, yeah.
So,
yeah.
I'm so happy to hear you say that because off of that, I don't know if you remember, but in 2012, I was up for a part in the canceled Marvel franchise film Crab Claws.
Mm-hmm.
You were signed on to play Crab Claws.
Mm-hmm.
And so my agent approached your agent about maybe putting in a good word for me because I was trying to, book a gig outside of the show. And your agent said that he would ask you. And then I never heard anything back, and I was not called in to even read for Crab Claws. So I'm just wondering, if you agree that right now I did do a good job, why at the time did you not put in a good word for me with Kevin Feige?
Oh, well, I don't, to be clear, I don't really remember this.
Because you were drinking so much?
No, that was kind of a period where it was pretty good. I just think I don't really have a recollection of that interaction happening. But
so you're saying that your agent never told you?
Not that I can recall, but, also there's a lot of inertia in the Crab Claws story. That's sort of a kind of lower tier Marvel character.
I just think that maybe it could have been really good for both of us if that had gone forward. And I'm just trying to say, I think it's a little bit of a bummer that you, at the time, maybe didn't look out for me because you didn't feel empowered to, or maybe you were being misled. But I just think it's interesting.
Well, that's sort of all beyond our power now. So, if you ever need a home, a terraced lawn at your home in Austin, Texas, I'm your guy. No more Marvel in my future, in my past.
No,
so
I'm beyond it. I'm not mad. I don't care.
And I think
hate Texas.
that's a good time for us to move to our next segment, Hot Seat.
Hot seat.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
this will be fun.
we have a bunch of fan questions for you here,
Oh, all right.
just to lighten up the mood a little bit. This question comes in from a fan in Austin.
Oh,
Hometown.
They say, I saw you once in Austin and you look a little shorter than you do on screen. Is that what you call movie magic?
Now, this is something that's dogged me my whole career, is that there are people out there that will try and break you down and try and lie about, sometimes the contents of your character or even the stature of your body in the world.
what are you, 5'8"?
Okay, next question. This one comes in from right here in Los Angeles. I recently gave up my dream of being a for-hire magician, and I'm trying to find my new career. Would you say that your landscaping business helps you forget that you couldn't make it as an actor?
This dog bites.
I think that I would say that I had my time in the spotlight. I had my time in the movies. I feel like I went as far as I could go. I lived large. I was very nearly blackout drunk at the Academy Awards.
I'm not totally sure where this one came from, but it just says, who would you rather, Nixon or Eryn?
Oh, this is a saucy
What
one.
does that mean?
You're gay though, right?
Well, I
Or something else?
haven't spoken publicly on that.
No, they're asexual.
Okay.
They don't for anyone.
A different thing than gay.
That is
Right?
not.
That's what you are.
That's not on the record, and that's not something I wanted to speak about right here, right now.
Just like a dry spell.
What's the next question, Kate?
Next question is, do you remember the night that everyone in the cast went to Jonas Brothers and they asked you to come backstage to meet the brothers, and why wasn't Eryn invited backstage too?
Oh, wow.
Specific.
A fan knew about that?
Yeah, I
It-
don't know.
How
It
would they know
appears
about that?
It is, yeah.
Was
That's
that
weird, but you might as well answer it.
I can't really picture that that you being there.
I was there. I was wearing like
What?
I was wearing
What were you wearing?
I'm trying to tell you that I was wearing
It's no use.
Like
I wouldn't. I don't really.
okay.
I can't think of that night in particular. I can't put my
Yeah.
finger.
Okay, final
Okay.
question.
But it's also, when life like that, when you're really kind of riding the dragon like I was at that time, and the experiences you're having every night are so different than most people get to have. It's sort of, you become numb to it in this way where it's like, was I even at the Jonas Brothers concert? Because
You were.
This fan says that they saw on Reddit that you gave the whole Twice Blessed cast mouth herpes. Is that true? That's just a simple yes or no.
Well, I can answer that. I certainly never had mouth herpes.
actually probably everybody at this table has mouth herpes and not from me.
No.
Most people in the world have mouth herpes. It's dormant in most people. And that's something that
Well, it's not dormant in my mouth.
it's another lie that's been dogging me my whole career.
Maybe a herpes vaccine could help with that. Well, I think that's a good point to wrap up. I had a wonderful time with you, Hardin. It's so great to see you after all these years. And
Really just feeling twice blessed by this encounter.
Yeah.
All right.
well, I will be at the Annapolis Coconut Festival next week, so be sure to check it out. That's my plug for the week.
And I would just love to plug that I have started a Substack to offer people some, just homegrown tips about how to transform your space. I have not figured out how to set that up yet, but I will get that done as soon as my stepdaughter Arabella is back from swim practice and also no longer mad at me. So stay tuned.
And Hardin, do you have anything in particular you want to plug other than the fabulous
This beautiful website?
landscaping business? And we will link to that in the show notes, right, Kate?
Oh,
Kate?
we're doing show notes. Cool. I can put, yes.
Yes.
I got it.
We are doing
doing show notes.
I'd like to say that, please tune in to the Micro Lawns show on HGTV when that comes out.
If that comes out.
No, it's coming out. I mean, we're pretty much locked in. I've signed the contract, and they've been very generous. They put me up this whole time. I'm staying at a really nice place. It's bigger than the apartment I had when I lived here, that's for sure, and the suite that I'm in. So, just thank you, HGTV, for all the opportunities. Stay tuned.
Well, wouldn't we all be twice blessed
That is just so good.
for that?
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us on our first ever recap podcast. Coming up next week, we have another amazing guest. Get excited.
I hope you guys start, getting along better.
We are.
We
are
are.
friends.
We're friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Always have been.
Let's wrap this up. Thank you. Raj needs to work out.